So today I'd like to start off with showing you a couple pictures, and I'm sure many of you would find them familiar. There's Mario, of course, for Super Mario Bros. Nintendo. Zelda from Legend of Zelda. Donkey Kong. Kirby. And Pikachu, Pokemon. Everyone knows and loves these characters from Nintendo. So Nintendo has dominated the gaming industry since 1980 and 1990, of course. But currently, they're kind of been going through a struggle with competition from Sony's PS4 and Microsoft's Xbox One. Many people are criticizing them and saying that Nintendo is pretty much dead now. However, I don't really agree. Nintendo has made some pretty big innovations in the gaming industry, and some of the times that goes overlooked. And today I'm going to talk to you about why Nintendo is still relevant in today's gaming world. So the first 3 points I'm going to touch upon today are, first of all, Nintendo's innovations, the criticism they face today, and lastly I'm going to talk about what they have that gives them an advantage over their competitors. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the innovations, and one of them being controller. Nintendo they pretty much set a standard for the controls we have today in everything, like PlayStation and the Xbox, and even I guess some gaming consoles and controllers. Nintendo popularized the idea of the four-directional pad, D-pad, the one you see on the left. It's for movement and other stuff in gaming. They also popularized the shoulder buttons that we have on the very top of the controller. A lot of everyone, like Sony and Microsoft, they all have the four ones on the back now, and they also the placement of the four action buttons right there on the side, the color ones. Sony has them in the form of the X, circle, triangle, square, and Microsoft has them in the A, B, X, Y. So that's one thing. They also did the portable gaming. They also popularized that. Nintendo made portable gaming popular. The Game Boy systems sold about 106 million units. From Game Boy to the 3DS, you can see the newest model, which implements 3D screens and dual touch screens. Games like Pokemon, Mario Kart that help sell these items made them really popular, and even today, companies like Apple and Sony even have games, mobile gaming. Sony's PlayStation Portable, PSP, and iPhone all have games in them. Motion controls. Nintendo took a risk with the Nintendo Wii, and it was the first it was the first console that used motion controllers to play video games. So finally, you're a hero of the game. If you're playing Legend of Zelda, you could swipe the sword and slash your enemies. Or if you're in your Mario Kart, you could use the steering wheel and control the cart. It's pretty innovative of its time, because PlayStation 3 and the Xbox, they didn't really have that kind of motion controllers. But after Nintendo did it, they followed afterwards with PlayStation releasing the PS Move and the Xbox releasing the Xbox Connect, which both they ditched the controllers, but they still use motion to play the games. So now that I've talked about their innovations, we'll be talking about the criticism that they face today. So despite everything that Nintendo's done for the gaming company, setting the standard for game controllers and for popularizing mobile gaming and motion controls, they they're struggling to compete against Sony's PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. One of the reasons why is because the PS4 and the Xbox One have better hardware in them. They perform faster. They play better graphics. They're just overall like better systems. They have more functionality in them. So that compared to the Wii U is a bit of an improvement from the Wii graphically, but just not. It's not as big as an improvement as the PS3 and the Xbox were from the PS4 to the Xbox One. Another thing that Nintendo failed to do about marketing between the Wii to the Wii U was that many people didn't know that the Wii U was given its own gaming, like a newer gaming console from the Wii. People thought it was just an attachment or something like that. So like there was a bit of confusion there, and it kind of drove sales down because people didn't know what it was. Another thing is that the Wii U lacks third-party support from a lot of games. Like, for example, if you were to play like Call of Duty or something, you won't be able to find that on the Wii U because of the lack of hardware and like the specs that the Wii U doesn't have compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One. Many third-party software developers exclude the Wii U, also because they probably have to implement like motion controls and stuff like that on the Wii U, and they don't want to support that because it's more money for them to put into a console that isn't selling well. So despite all this criticism, let's talk now about like what Nintendo has to offer compared to the other games. So unlike other games, other systems like the PlayStation or the Xbox, Nintendo has invested a lot of the time into their first-party games. Very few games from PlayStation or Xbox have that same kind of nostalgic feel that you get from playing Nintendo games like Super Smash Bros., Pokemon Stadium, or just anything from Nintendo's Legend of Zelda. People still look forward to playing these games today. The Xbox One and the PS4 practically have like the same games, the same first-person shooters, and like they're just pretty much the same games that they offer. But the Nintendo has unique first-party games that others don't have. Second thing is innovation. Nintendo takes risk while the PS4 and the Xbox One don't. They generally kind of like keep the systems the same. If you look at the PlayStation 1 to the PS4, it's pretty much like the same kind of system style, just upgraded hardware and stuff like that. Nintendo, however, updates their systems in new ways, from adding more buttons or motion controllers, or even the new gamepad they have on the Wii U. They continue to like try to find new ways to revolutionize gaming. While PlayStation and the Xbox, they stay the same. They're pretty much the same console with different names. Something that most people don't know is that actually Nintendo did virtual reality. They had a console named the Virtual Boy that didn't really sell well because it's pretty bad, but like they at least tried to get virtual reality out earlier, and it was like waiting for like this new like office and these other things that it failed. Now they're bringing it back to actually produce better graphics and stuff like that to do it, and technology, and so yeah. And the other thing is that Nintendo has some major, at least their games sell incredibly well. The Mario franchise is the most successful franchise ever. They've sold over 185 million copies worldwide, and this is awesome. And they also have games that people are looking forward to, like Jon A Informative, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, that are like very much talked about right now. And like they're really awesome games, and they're really fun to play. So today I'm talking about Nintendo, their past innovations, their criticism, and what they have to offer today. And even though they do struggle like in the hardware aspect of the system, they have very like fun, like good quality games that I come to play. And that's why I'll still continue to play Nintendo for years to come.
Jalen, you here?
Yeah.
What did you think?
So, like I read this speech is, at first you kind of just jump right into the topic, and through the speech, like you can tell, I mean, there's a lot of stop and go, and you can see that you left your paper, so you kind of just, it seemed like you were kind of just winging it until you got your paper back. I was kind of confused as to why you're presenting Nintendo. Like, I wasn't sure if you were talking about controller or how Nintendo compares to the Xbox or the PlayStation. And I was a little confused as to, like, were you just talking about the controller? And, or, I was, yeah, there was just a lot of reading from the paper. I'm not sure if you cited much, or if that was on my part.
No, that was
Yeah, that's pretty much. But overall,
Okay. Well, I think the pictures that you show are fine. I think you need to deliver them a little bit more energetically. This is for the attention device. They're familiar concepts that the audience is likely to be reacting to, and you should be enjoying that a little bit more, and you get to the last one and you should be having a little bit of fun with it. I think the delivery undersells your topic there. Your subject is clear and you phrase it very deliberately so we know where you're headed with the speech, and there was a very solid preview. I thought that was okay. It felt to me like there was really a theme about how Nintendo had been an innovative company, and that might in fact be the thing that ought to be the focus of the speech instead of some of the other things about how it gets criticized or some of the drawbacks of some of the game systems themselves, their technology, for instance. But the idea of Nintendo being the one that was innovators when it came to controllers, was innovators when it came to motion control, that was an innovator when it came to personal gaming, and take it with you kind of stuff, that all seems to me like the stuff that would make them incredibly successful, but for some reason they have not been quite as successful. I mean, I guess I'd still not sneeze or throw away the opportunity to own stock in the company, but it's apparently not quite as valuable as it would be if I was getting PlayStation or Xbox stock, that sort of thing. It sounds like they're ending up being a poor second cousin in this situation. I do have to agree. I heard a lot of information. There's not a lot of citing of the sources of that information. You want to be more consistent on that. This is an opportunity. You had a couple of places where the visuals worked really well. You had a comparison between the controllers, for instance, that came later, and it seemed to me like it needed to come a little bit earlier when you first started talking about the controllers. So there was a kind of a jump there. I'm thinking about all of the hardware that you mentioned that makes their games a little, I don't want to say clunkier, but they're not as, they can't do the same kinds of things. And I'm wondering, okay, is that just the detail in the pictures? Is it the movement in the game itself? Is it the variety of scenarios that is available? What's going on there? And some of that is probably easily visualized. So for example, if it is in fact the graphics that are going to be different, then you should be able to show us the difference in the graphics and do a quick contrast or comparison image on that, and you're missing an opportunity to do that. I think you put a lot of yourself into the speech, but you need to put a little bit more energy into it. I did think at the end that you had a nice personal touch on what it was you were trying to say about that, and that helps a bit. All right, it's a little long too, in case you didn't know. It's also more than 10 minutes. So, speaking of more than